Hello, good morning, ahoy there. Probably hear that in the background. Got a long winding road ahead of us today. Have a look at this one. It's a beautiful country road just coming up ahead of us here. Motorbike coming around the corner. Hey man, I'm still here in Borneo. Been here for a few days now. It's hot. It's really hot here. I know it's a stupid question, stupid statement to make. Obviously it's hot here, but it's a different kind of heat. When people used to say to me, "Oh, it's a dry heat. It's nice there. It's a dry heat," and I always used to politely just go, "Oh yeah, I know what you mean, yeah." I didn't know what they meant at all, and obviously I'd class India as a dry heat, and people say that there. And I just go, yeah, dry heat, yeah. And you come here, and it's a jungle everywhere. So there's this jungle heat, and it's early in the morning now, and the sun's pretty high up, and it's a jungle heat. It's weird. It's a wet heat. Like for example, I put some washing out yesterday, and it took ages to dry. Because there's so much moisture in the air, and just doing that with my hand, it feels you can feel it. So it's an unusual kind of heat. Like you wear a hat to keep the sun off your head, and it's well, you need to wash it when you get home, frankly. So these people that spend a lot of time out here, they must really get used to that. It feels heavy on your chest. I'm not complaining about it here, by the way. I've slept really, really deeply, really well last night. And I have every night that I've been here, and it's partly, I think, because the heat probably helps, but I'm doing so much walking here. I'm getting up every morning, getting straight out, walking. I'm probably doing about 20,000 steps a day, which, I mean, I'm on a walking holiday, so you'd expect that, but I'm getting a fantastic night's sleep out of it, just straight off. It's almost like I'm switched off as soon as I get in. So that's good. It's, if you're thinking of coming here, do come. It's brilliant. So far I've only been to 2 places. I was at the beach the other day, as you possibly saw. That was a bit too bright there for me. The effect of the sunlight on my poor old brain. I think it releases too much serotonin for me. So you may have found I was gabbling quite a bit there at the beach, which I do whenever I get too much sun on my head. It does something, and I find myself, I become really hyperactive. I gabble anyway, I'm a bugger for it. But too much sun really brings it out of me. And I was excited as well. I'd only just got here, I was on holiday. I'd been for a swim in the sea, and it was brilliant. So there's no sea around this part of where I am. I'm trying to remember the name of this part. I can't bloody remember it now. I'm terrible for that. But this is about 40 minutes up the road from where we were the other day. And it's good walking here. I mean, I'm on a slight gradient now, which I quite like. There's a lot of walkers here, not specifically here. I'm pretty much the only person on this road. I like it. If you go the other way, that takes you up to an orangutan sanctuary, which I went to yesterday, which was really nice. Saw some orangutans, which you'd expect to see there. Didn't see the alpha, but we saw all the mums and the babies. That was nice. And then round the corner from that is a sun bear sanctuary, which I'd never seen before, and they're adorable. They're they look a bit like Paddington, and they've got like this golden sort of crest across their chests, and they look adorable, but they've massive claws, and I bet they're not that adorable if you went near them, but they are lovely to see. And then round the corner from that is another sanctuary for these monkeys called proboscis monkeys. Got a huge, great big nose, as the name proboscis would suggest. And they were the star of the show. Absolutely incredible things. Quite tragic though, because they're next to a palm oil lot. And so, you know, it's, as of most things with animals, it's tinged with sadness. But it was lovely to see them. And they've got this real family dynamic going on, and you get to see that and get a bit of an understanding for their day. So yeah, I'd really recommend coming here. It's Borneo, I mean. I can't for the life of me remember where I am, I never can. I do this quite a lot. I told a load of people recently, last year I was going to Thailand, and I kept on and on about it, saying, oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to Thailand. And then when I got back, they said, how was Thailand? And I said, oh, I wasn't in Thailand, I was in Vietnam. So I do that quite a bit. I forget where I'm going. But it's more about where you're at, isn't it? Where you're at than where you are. So I'm, as I say, here on a walking holiday. Lots of other walkers here, lots of nature photographers here. Who are all really nice. I've not spoken to any of them, because I don't. But they're all really nice. You can see them in their groups, and they're all really respectful, and they're all really sweet, and they've got massive cameras, so they take it really seriously. So obviously, I don't want to go out bothering them. But it's really good. And one thing that was quite promising was, before I came here, I had no idea what to pack, footwear-wise. So I was thinking, what do you take? If you're going to Borneo, you're thinking jungle, you're thinking, you know, mud and all this sort of thing. So I was thinking, oh, should I take some boots with me? I had no idea, I didn't know anyone who'd been here. So I asked ChatGPT, and that said, take a pair of sandals and a pair of trainers. And I thought, oh, right, then I'll do that. So I did it, came here thinking, I bet everyone I see is wearing really fancy boots. And no one has been. They've all been just exactly that. Most people are in sandals, and most people are in just not fancy footwear. Just lots of like just bog standard trekking trainers. Like I've got, well, I say what I've got on. I haven't even got that on. I've just got on a pair of pumps, and I've found them to be absolutely fine. So if you're thinking of coming here and gear-wise, footwear-wise, don't worry about it. Just honestly, a pair of sandals, pair of trainers, or those hiking trainers that people wear for cross-country running, they'll do the job just fine. And everything seems to just sort of fall in, you know. Just I don't spend a lot of money on stuff. I don't see the point. I just rebuy it as I need to, and that's it. So yeah, don't let that put you off. That's what I like so much about walking as a hobby. I mean, I've been doing it for years now, walking. Not in any serious sense where I could sit down and have a chat with a hiker and compare routes with him, not like that, but just walking, getting up and getting out and walking. I love it. I mean, initially I didn't have any choice. It's because I couldn't afford a car. When I was younger, I couldn't afford the lessons, and I knew I couldn't afford a car, so there'd have been no point. So I just didn't bother. I often couldn't even afford bus fare. So if I was going somewhere, generally I walked. And I did like it. I mean, this was pre-podcast days and walking around with headphones, which I've always got on me now. I've always got a pair in my bag and a bottle of water. But I find that doing a lot of walking, as I still do, it helps you come to grips with yourself. You come to know yourself, your own thoughts, your own feelings on things. You can mull things over. Things that have happened the previous day, or things that are bothering you and worrying you. Taking a walk on it, just getting up and getting out there and walking, it's a good way of accessing your own feelings and putting things together. And sometimes things the day before that seemed quite catastrophic to you and quite damaging, having a walk and getting out there and seeing colours, lights, sounds, other stimulus, it doesn't get rid of things, but it does put things into perspective sometimes, and it does balance things out in your brain a bit. Or sometimes it just makes you think, oh, sod it, I don't care, there's a whole world out here, there's other things, there's nature, there's dogs, there's animals and things. Sometimes just a passerby saying good morning helps you think, oh, not everyone's bad, are they? There are nice people about. So I think walking is a great prescription for the mental condition, or the human condition rather. Just getting out there and walking, and walk it off, as they say, with any injury. I really can't recommend it enough. I do it not out of necessity anymore. Not out of travelling necessity, but certainly out of mental necessity. And it doesn't take much, because I find that when you're walking, you're part of your surroundings, whereas when you're driving, you're not. You're just in that box, thundering along, just looking just ahead of you to see you don't crash. Whereas walking, it's all around you. Life's all around you, life's happening all around you, and you can't help but notice it and take notice of things. Be part of it. It's a bit like when you were a kid. When you were a kid and you'd be off school for the 6 weeks holidays, you might be on your bike if you were lucky enough to have one. I didn't. But otherwise you were just walking around with your friends, and your brain would sort of go into places and adventures. I mean, even things like here we are now, and there's trees, and there's an old abandoned car through the woods there, and it's just the colours and life and sound. And the brain likes picking up on things, and maybe a bit of pareidolia here and there. It'll pick a face out of something, or it will see something that reminds us of someone, or something that happened, or a joke we heard, a song we heard, or a story someone told us, or a holiday we went on, or anything, good and bad. And it gets the brain going. And it's better than any kind of pill you could take, I think, to settle the brain down. And I've tried them. I've tried all different kinds of natural remedies to settle the brain and to make you feel a bit better about having a constant racing brain. And this has been, here's a little dog up here. I'm trying so hard to stay focused on this one, by the way. I'm going to really, really make an effort. But you know what I'm like, if I see a dog I have to say good morning to him. The dogs here are very different to the Indian dogs. Not just in looks, hey. Not just in looks, they've got a more of a sort of a stocky, almost like jackal-like appearance to them. Some of them have anyway. But the one thing I noticed with them is they're not as keen to be fussed as the Indian dogs, or the Indie dogs. They come running up from across the road, and I think it's because they're more used to being fussed. Whereas the Bornean dogs, I don't think they've got such a culture of fussing the dogs here. So these wild dogs aren't used to it, they don't want it. So I don't go near them, because if they're not used to it, I feel it's not fair to go and fuss them. For one, because nobody else might, and they might like it. And for two, it might not be safe. If I fuss them and they bite me, it's not fair on me, is it? So I just say hello to them and keep moving. But God, it's making some noise, isn't it? So there's a load of birds living over there, you can probably hear them. They're obviously waking up shouting for breakfast. But so yeah, I've tried different remedies to settle the brain, and just to make it feel what I would class as normal. And they kind of work, but they feel a bit like wrapping your brain in a duvet. Everything just feels a bit nullified, a bit muffled. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. So I want to keep the sharpness and the clarity, but I want to just ease it off a bit. Just to say, hey, just, calm it down a little bit. And the gym helps, but I find that's more of a short-term fix. There's a social aspect to it which I like, but it works all that evening and into the next day, so it's great. But I find nothing helps better than walking. The walking really does something different. It's good for you physically. I'm sure it burns off a lot of calories. I've never checked that out, but I'm sure it does. I mean, everyone I know that's turned their life around health-wise, a friend of mine who is in colossally good shape, he looks absolutely incredible, but didn't used to, and he wouldn't mind me saying that because he says it himself. But he'll say it all started with walking around the block, and that's what he did. He just started walking around his block, and then it escalated from there, because it is quite addictive. And I know some people will say, well, it's easy to say that, and obviously not for a minute. I must say, if you can't walk, or if you have difficulty walking, I'm not knocking anyone, so that's not what I'm saying at all. But if you can and you're able to, please do it. Please give it a go. Just go and try it. But I know some people, and I've been in this situation. I've lived in some pretty grim parts of town or places over the years where going for a walk doesn't seem like a very good idea. And you'd say like, well, would you want to walk around here? And the answer is usually no. But even in the worst places I've lived, it's not grim 24 hours of the day, which I know sounds a bit patronising, but I've had to do it. You think, well, I've got to get out, I've got to walk. So I've had to pick my moment. I think that's where it started, of the whole thing of getting up with the sun and getting out. Because I generally found it was safer, not just physically, but mentally, for me, safer to walk as the sun came up. And just get out there and get it done. Get up, make the bed, get out, walk, come back, have a bite to eat. And that's kind of just what I've stuck with doing. And it's really helped. I mean, it feels more natural, just get up and out. I feel like my brain and body thanks me for it, because it's done. I'm essentially, just like most of us, lazy. So possibly my brain and body are saying, sod it, let's stay in, let's just stay in for a bit, go later. But when you don't and you come back and do it, you do feel great, you feel charged, you feel like, yeah, I did that. And it's good to get little wins, little victories, essential. So get them done and give yourself a treat, get out there. And sometimes, I lived in a place once that was really not very nice at all, but getting out there when the sun was coming up over it and seeing that crowd, the early morning crowd, the postie or whatever, it was quite nice in a way. You felt like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm owning this. Then obviously you'd have to go to work and do the normal side of things. But I think walking has really saved me quite a few times, where it's a great way of collating your thoughts and your feelings, putting things in order. And I'm not trained in any way in that area, but all I know is what feels right and what helps me, and it might help you. Give it a go. Do please give it a go. Just, as I say, it's one of the only sports, or is walking a sport? Pastimes where you don't need to spend a load of money to do it. I mean, like even running. I know a lot of people take up running, and that's the reason why. Because you don't have to spend a huge amount of money. But I took it up a few years ago, and I found out later that I didn't use the right running shoes. And my knee has never forgiven me for it. It's been in pain ever since. So walking's a lot more gentle, a lot more accessible. And I find that most people I meet when I'm on a walk, if they're also walking, they don't ask how many steps you do a day, or what gradients you're walking, or what route you do. They don't care. They just say good morning, hiya, morning, as you pass by. And it's nice. It's really nice. It's a good hobby. And you can find, I mean, most of my holidays are walking holidays. And if you're trying to stay off the drink, which I'm not anymore really, because I haven't drunk for so long now that I feel like I'm hopefully over that mountain. But to an extent, and I'm always trying to stay off the drink, but not actively battling it. But when I was, walking was brilliant, because you'd know the night before, look, I've told myself I'm doing this walk tomorrow, so I'm not going to stay out late tonight because I've told myself I'm doing it. And there was a bit of discipline involved, but I'd do it. And the reward of that, the mental reward of that the next day, I feel like, you know what? Not only did I stay off the drink last night, but I've gone out and I've walked 4 miles and I've come back. And look at this no admittance sign. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not going to go past it, obviously, because I don't want to get shot. But it's a no admittance. There's a fella shooting someone. So they mean business. We won't go up there. I wonder what's up there. I don't care that much. There's a lot of palm oil places around here which are a bit tragic. The proboscis monkey's place back the way there, That's right next to a palm oil refining place, which is quite sad because it's taken all of their land and just left them with a strip of land for them to live on. So good in one way that they've left them a bit of land, but quite tragic in another. And there's signs all like that all around there saying if you come in here we'll shoot you. So probably best not to. So we'll cross the road over here. So yeah, as I was saying about walking, it's one of the only pastimes I've taken up where you don't feel the need to walk into a sports shop and buy all this expensive equipment. You can if you want people to see you and know, he's clearly a serious walker. He's got 2 sticks and a floppy hat and those trousers that zip off into shorts and a pair of boots. I know what he's all about. I don't do any of that, and I never have. I occasionally buy a pair of walking boots. That's only for the UK when it gets muddy. So I've always got a pair. But as I say, I haven't got any here. Here I'm wearing... Where are we? Oh, I can't see him. Don't know why the camera doesn't want to go onto my shoes. I'm just wearing a pair of black pumps. And they're perfectly sufficient. They're doing the job. So, and I like that about it. You know how like when you go to a gym, and I've noticed this increasingly over the last few years, gyms have become a bit like a fashion thing, a fashion parade, and I don't have any part of that either. I just wear very bog standard training stuff, and luckily where I train it's a lot of bromancing going on, but there's no fashion parading, so it's quite nice. And I like that. I don't want to feel crap about myself as soon as I start doing something. I just want to, for once, feel I can just blend in and get on with it. So try it. Just tomorrow morning, get up, put on the most sensible shoes you've got for a walk, and just do 15 minutes. Go out. If you need to, take some headphones. I take them as an emergency. If I feel like, my brain needs something else on it now, I'll put the headphones on. I used to have them on all the time, but I stopped it because I found that by listening to headphones all the time, it's only ever podcasts, but you're blocking out one of your senses. And part of the walk is a full sensory walk. And so I want to hear everything that's going on around me. I want to hear the birds, I want to hear the dogs, whatever I'm walking past, I want to experience it. And the headphones were taking a bit of that from me. So now I do still listen to them, but not so much. But by all means, do take your headphones if that's what you want to do. And give it a go. Give it 15 minutes, wherever it is you are. And if you don't like where you are, find somewhere nearby that you would like to walk to and get there and just do it. Just blast out 15 minutes, whatever time of the day. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning even, but just please give it a go, and I'm sure you'll benefit from it in one way or another. Maybe not in the same way as I have. You might find something completely different. But everyone I know that does it, mind you can say that about anything. If you play darts, you can say everyone I know who plays darts likes it. Well, they wouldn't do it if they didn't, so stupid analogy. But please try it. You might find it. If it's something you haven't tried before, give it a go. I know I used to work briefly in mental health capacity, completely untrained, which they knew, I didn't lie. But they used to bang on about the 5 ways to well-being all the time in that, which I'll cover one week on this. But the one of the ways was do something or try something, and try walking. It's the easiest thing to try if you can do it. If you can do it, if you're injured or you're unable to do it. But this is a walking channel, so I'm assuming that if you do watch this, you walk or want to walk. And I can't recommend it enough. I really, really can't. I wonder if postmen are really cheerful. I've never really met many postmen, but they're walking all day. I don't... Maybe because there's an element of work involved in it. Maybe that takes the cheerfulness out of it, takes the spring out of your step. But I actually, I used to know a woman from Leeds who reminded me of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. She always used, hello, Dan. She was a bit like that. Really sweet woman, but very, very down. And she was moaning about her job once. And I said, she said she hated this job. And I said, have you hated every job you've ever had, or is it unique to this one? And she said, no, I used to like my last job. I was a postman. And I said, oh, okay. I thought maybe she was cheerful then. So I said, oh, okay. Why did you leave? And she said, well, I was spending all day on my own, walking around with my thoughts and my own thoughts rattling round my head. And in the end, my own thoughts got too much for me. And it was just going to push me over the edge. So I had to go and quit. And I thought, good grief, if the best job you've ever had was about to push you over the edge, maybe you need a bit more help than a walk. Or maybe you need to go and actually have a chat with someone or with yourself to sort out where you're going here, because that doesn't sound right to me. But yeah, I do wonder that. Maybe when I'm a bit older I'll get one of those jobs where you go around delivering leaflets. A lot of retired people do that. I think I'm coming up for retirement now, I think I've mentioned that before. Counting it down in months now, and I'll be doing this full time, not these videos, I mean walking full time. I'm quite looking forward to it. I spoke last time about the, it sounds gloomy, the title, I wish they'd call it something different, but the Swedish Death Cleanse. Which sounds horrible, but I'm doing it, and I'm looking more and more into it, and I'll take you along with me on that. And it's basically, I mentioned it last week when I was slightly off my mind with sun, but it's basically getting rid of all your stuff. My opinion on it is everything I own, I'm just holding on to temporarily before it goes into a bin, into landfill or charity shops. So why don't I take control of that rather than some other poor sod having to do it? Why don't I take control of it and just give it away? And that's what I'm going to do. And when I'm finished with this bit of travelling, I'm going to go back to the UK for a bit, where all my stuff's in storage at the moment, and I'm getting rid of all of it. If you want any of it, let me know. I'll film it. But it's all going to go to charity. So, well, charity or anyone who wants it, really. I don't know if I'll bother selling any of it. Maybe I will. Got a couple of bits, but who knows? But then I can just walk. I'll be free in the world then, to just roam streets. It sounds awful. I know I've mentioned it to some people about getting rid of all my stuff and walking. And it's their idea of hell, and that's fine, that's absolutely fine. We're all built differently, we've all got different wants and needs. Some people like to accumulate and hold on to things that make them feel complete, and things that make them feel dear, or things that are dear to them, and I don't want that. I feel this is what makes me complete, being outside and the air and that bird singing and seeing the animals. That's what I like. Just being out and about and vibrant and alive. I want more of that. I'm not ready for the armchair life yet and sitting. I thought I was a few years ago, but I'm not. And then, as I said last week, it's all just lumber. All these possessions you have, they're all just lumber. Throw the lumber overboard, let your boat of life be light. I didn't say that, it was Jerome K. Jerome said it in 3 Men on a Boat, my favourite book. But I agree with it. It's all just stuff that's holding you down, or me down. I'm not talking for other people. But do you need all that stuff? I mean, I've brought with me the bag that I'm going to be using for the rest of my life, or the bag size. I don't know if that bag will last. But that's all I'm going to have going forward, is the clothes that are in it, my water bottle, and just a few bits and pieces. It's a 7 kilo rucksack, and that's it. I'm not keeping anything else. I've never paid a huge amount for anything anyway though, so maybe it's easier for me. Maybe people that have spent fortunes on all of their things got every right to say, well no, I worked hard for that, I'm going to keep it, and that's perfectly entitled to. It's your stuff, do what you want. But for me, I feel it's more freeing. As I say, it's going to go anyway, so just holding off the inevitable, aren't I? I'll get rid of it, but I'll film it, let you see how it goes, and then just go back to walking. I think the destination after I've done that, that'll be in the UK. I'll be heading to South America after that. I'll walk around South America for as long as I feel like it, or as long as they'll have me. Then who knows? Asia looks nice. Might head over there, might go back to India for a bit. Who knows? We'll find out. I hope you come with me, because I like walking and talking. I don't do this when I'm on my own, you know. I don't walk along without a camera, just chatting away. I just walk along quietly, or occasionally, if there's someone with me, might chat with them, but I think I get on their nerves. Although I did walk once in Kent. I went on an organised walk, where you paid like, I don't know, £10. And you turn up in a field and there was about 50 people there. And I don't know what your take on it is if you've done those sort of things. I didn't like it. I've done guided walks through towns where some fella or woman walks you around pointing out stained glass windows and churches and shops, and they have little amusing anecdotes about it, and I like that. That was good. But this was just basically paying someone £10 to walk around in a group of about 50 people, and I couldn't help but think, well, I'll do this on my own, because it wasn't a route there was nothing to differentiate it between an aimless walk, which is what I do. I just walk aimlessly with purpose. And oh yeah, that is what I do, I think. Yeah, just walking aimlessly with some purpose of getting home eventually. And this was just that, and I thought, oh, okay, well, you know, I like a walk. But there was this bloke on it who had this big Doctor Who scarf, and he kept singing like disco classics at the top of his voice. So he'd be walking in front of me, and if I was just walking along, and all of a sudden he'd start singing like Boogie Nights or Ladies Night, or I'm not making this up, this sounds like a joke, but it's not. And it was all right for like the first 5 minutes. You're thinking, oh, that's not a bad little song now. And he had quite a nice voice. But after about 45 minutes of, you know, you're in these woods and there's some fella, you know, knocking out Boogie Nights, you think, oh, I hope he stops that soon, because that's really getting quite annoying. And yeah, the walk was pleasant, but I just felt maybe I'm too antisocial for that sort of thing. Maybe walking's more of a solitary. I don't know, but it wasn't for me. I went on a nighttime walk a couple of nights back in the jungle here, and I felt the same about that. It would have been better advertised as just come for a walk in the jungle, but they advertised it as like a wildlife thing, and there were about 100 people in there, and I thought, you're not going to see any wildlife, are you? Because surely nocturnal animals are quite shy by nature. That's why they come out at night. When you've got 100 people with torches traipsing through the woods, they're all going to bugger off. And guess what? They did. So I saw an insect that was nice. I saw a snake that was good. You know, it was a pretty big snake. And something I've never seen before that I didn't even know existed, that live here apparently. Well, not apparently, do live here. A glow-in-the-dark scorpion. And it was about as big as my palm. And it didn't glow a bit. It glowed in the dark like something, like a kid's toy. Really glowed in the dark. So it was worth it for that. But I couldn't help but think, don't get me wrong, I would not have done that on my own. There's no way I'd walk in the jungle on my own. I don't know if you've got any experience of the jungle, because I didn't. But the darkness in a jungle, as soon as, well, not even when the sun starts to dip, it could be bright and sunny like this. You walk in the jungle and it's dark. There's no light getting through those leaves. And as soon as the sun starts to dip, it's darkness like the heart of darkness. And the noises are frankly terrifying. You can see where all these folklores come from. Folklore tales and fairy tales of the terrors of the woods. Because it really genuinely is frightening. And that's with 100 people with you walking around. There were 10 to a group, and there were several groups. But there's a lot of people. And it's frightening in there. So you think, yeah, I wouldn't want to do this on my own at night. So I wouldn't have done it on my own at night. So there's a walk I'd strike off the list. Walking through the jungle at night on your own. Or certain parts of London. I've done that. But yeah, I would still recommend walking as the most accessible and probably pleasant way to live. I feel like it's the antidote to modern life. When you think, like, these days we spend most of our lives either looking at a screen, under an artificial light, in an office like I am not now, but that's where I work, which I'm not used to. But you're under an artificial light, you're in an artificial surrounding with artificial people who aren't acting as they would normally want to act because they're in an office, staring at a screen. Then you go home staring at a screen, staring at a little screen or a bigger screen. We're not built for that. We're built for this. We're built for natural light, natural frequencies, natural experiences. And I think that's why a lot of people I know that come on holidays like this don't like them. And if you mention walking holidays, they don't like it. And they say, oh, no. And they don't like places like Kerala and Goa in India, because they come somewhere like this, which to me is just a beautiful paradise. They don't like it, and you say, what don't you like about it? And they say, well, there's nothing to do. And I always think, well, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want a roller disco? Or do you want an amusement park? What do you want? I often think, would you say that in Cornwall? Would they say, oh yeah, I went to Cornwall, it's boring? Or the Lake District, boring. And yeah, it is, it's meant to be. It's meant to be boring. It's meant to be nothing to do. That's the beauty of it. And it just puzzles me, and I think, it's not their fault though. And I'm not being patronising when I say that. It isn't their fault, because for the last generation on generation, possibly on generation, we've been programmed to crave stimulus and entertainment, and to think that that's normal, to have constant entertainment. And in the last 20 years, I'd say that's been upped by mobile phones, to have constant swiping, constant changing, constant, I'm bored, I'll give you 30 seconds, I'm bored, move on. And people struggle with it, and I think, for example, when I first came here, and when I go to Goa, and when I go to anywhere like that, for the first day I feel like something's wrong, and I get a bit anxious. I get a bit of like an agita sort of feeling, and I feel like, oh, something's not right, what's up? And even though I do a lot of walking, when I come somewhere completely silent like this, apart from the birds, it takes me about a day to get used to the fact, oh yeah, that's what it is. It's nothing. That's what is it that's bothering me? It's nothing. There's nothing going on. There's no sound. There's no stimulus. And the brain has to go into a different gear. It sort of drops down a gear. Oh yeah, okay. And some people can't do that, or they don't want to do that. And when they do that, they don't feel comfortable. They're like, no. And that's no failing on them. That's no fault of their own. We're all different. We've all got different tastes. But by all means, please do still try it. Try to change your brain's gear. Try to put yourself into a different way of thinking for a little bit, and you might like it. You might find, hang on a minute, a lot of my anxieties and a lot of my hang-ups and problems are coming from the fact that my brain is constantly seeking new thrills, new experiences, new this, new that, new sounds. And it's not really designed for that. It's designed more for walking. We are physically designed for walking. So therefore the brain is designed for the speed of walking and the experience of having a walk. And once you get back used to that again, it's quite lovely. It really is. It's quite a lovely thing to be part of. I mean, when you think how we used to be. People here, by the way, are some of the friendliest people I've ever met in my life, and similar to the people in India, how they'll just walk up to you and start having a chat with you. Indian people are nosier, I'll say that. They really want to know. They'll walk up to you and they're delightful. You'll be in the middle of nowhere in India and some fella will just come up and start chatting with you. Hello, where you going, where you from, anything. They'll just come out of anything. Often they'll invite you into I've been invited into so many people's houses in India just to have a look. And what are you going to do? So you go and it's nice. But flips the other way though. I've got Irish relatives, and they're farmers. Well, they're actually mainly dead now. But one of them was telling me. He said, "Oh, you won't believe what happened to me." He said, "I was in the front garden, He said, and a fella came walking along. They live in the middle of nowhere. He said, a fella came walking along. I'd never seen him in my life. He said, and he had a huge big beard on him. He said, and he'd wrapped his head up in this bright orange bandage. He said, so I went up to him, he said, and I says, what the hell's going on with you? Why have you wrapped your head like this? He said, and I had no idea what he was on about. He said, but he told me that God had told him to do it. He said, so he had his wife and his kids with him. He said, so I invited him in. So he said, I invited him in. He said, we all had a cup of tea. And he said, he carried on telling me that God had done this. He said, so I said to him, well, I'm going to Mass in a moment. And where they live, there's literally, like, you know, it's like the old stereotypical, it sounds like people are making it up, village with 4 pubs and a post office and a church. And so he said, I'm going off to Mass in a minute, why don't you come with me? So he took this Sikh family. He still, at the end of this story, by the way, didn't know they were Sikhs. So he said, I took them all to Mass. He said, and they loved it. He said, they had a great old time in there. He said, and then off they went. Now, those guys live like people lived about 300 years ago. Their house is like that. There's no heating in the house. It's all done off of a range. And to them, that was the most perfectly natural thing to do. They've seen someone they've never seen before in their village. They've seen something they've never seen before in the turban. And they questioned it. They've gone up and said, hello there. Who are you? What are you doing here? How are you? Would you like a cup of tea? And I feel that's how we are. That's how people used to be. That's how we're geared to be. But because of nature, so we've come away from nature in every way because of technology taking. I know I sound like an old man now, but I think it's ruined a lot of things. I think it's taken that from us, that innocence, that childlike innocence where you just go up to someone or something and say, hey, what's this? Or what could that be? And it's a shame. It's a real shame. But I think walking brings that back to you. You see things when you're walking. You walk along and you'll be like, oh, look, that looks like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. Oh, look at that over there. That looks like... And you don't realise you're doing it a lot of the time, but your brain's firing and firing. I mean, look at this over here, for example. What's that? Looks like it's fallen from outer space. Could be a satellite. What's it doing there? There's no struts around that it's fallen from. Who's put that there? And it just gets the brain that I know it's a water tower. I don't think it's come from outer space. But but you see what you just walk along and you see things and the brain starts going places. And I feel like technology's, I mean, it's even with our romantic lives, putting yourself on these dating sites, whatever they're called, like you're in an Argos book or a Sears catalogue, and for the world to just flick through it and go, yes, no, oh yes, this meets with my standards, oh no, don't look at her, oh no. Come on, be natural, be normal, be real. Stop nullifying your existence. You get one go around on this ride. Stop destroying it. Give yourself a chance. Give yourself the best fighting chance you ever have. Go for a walk. Just get up. Try it, honestly. Anyway, I've come to the end of this particular walk. It's getting really hot now. So I'm going to go in and have a shower, I think, and then go off somewhere else. I'm going down to the river later. I might film a bit of that. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure. Nice seeing you. I don't see you. Like and subscribe if you want to. Thank you for joining me. There'll be more walks coming up. And until then, thank you again. Walk tall.